This is now part 2 of the podcast with Dr. Darren Johnson of Santan Foothills High School, the head wrestling coach, JV football coach, department head of the English department, and English teacher. And most importantly, my old high school football coach, and just one of the greatest dudes around. Love the guy. So hopefully you guys enjoyed part 1. Here's part 2.
And I think this would be a deeper discussion, but technology and cell phones is ruining everything.
We just started talking about that last time.
Oh,
so
good.
Yeah, that's something we said we were going to go into after we've done a little bit more research on the basically. Do you ever listen to the Bill Simmons podcast?
No.
Okay, so Bill Simmons, do you know who he is though?
No.
Okay, so he is he used to be a columnist back in the day for ESPN. ESPN hired him all the way up. He got onto NBA Game Day, and then something happened to where he basically just got fired, just some sort of scandal, whatever. You know what 30 for 30 is?
Yes.
He is the one that gave the idea of 30 for 30. That was his brainchild. This is my baby type thing. Anyway, so now he's got his own company. It's called The Ringer. And they do tons of sports coverage and things like that, but they do lots of other coverage. And one of the podcasts he did it with this guy, and I wrote down his name last time, and I can't remember what it was now. Anyway, he's a writer for The Atlantic, and it's called The Future of Everything. And one of the things he talked about is with the advent of the phone, it's been one of the greatest things ever, but it also might be the thing that absolutely ruins our society. And some of it is because while it connects us virtually, it absolutely disconnects us physically. And so people are living, and not just the phone, but we talked about the Apple eyeglass thing. And did you ever see the movie Ready Player One?
Yeah.
Okay. So did you ever read the book?
No. But I also think of, it was a Tom Cruise movie.
Minority Report.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love Minority Report. But anyway, so the idea behind that is like you immerse yourself in this virtual world, and then now you don't want to actually experience the physical world anymore.
Right.
Because it's right here and your brain's telling you, hey, this is just as real. Like I'm looking at, we used this example the first one. Never been to the Grand Canyon, right? I mean, I've physically been there, but I don't remember seeing it. It was at the end of a long bike ride, and I just wanted to get back in the car and go. But if I got on the Apple eyeglass and was looking at the Grand Canyon, and it was so real that I'm like, oh yeah, I've been there. I've never been there. I should still go there. But that's the problem that we deal with when it comes to phones and any kind of technological advance is like, yeah, these all sound great and sound awesome, but what damage are we doing to ourselves in the future?
Well, I think you're seeing it. That you're probably seeing the most of it because you teach at high school level, right?
Every day.
And these kids, so I have teenage daughters in high school. I had to wait till one got 16 to give her Instagram. She has no other social media platform. No, Snapchat's a hell no. That is never happening because of what I know about that platform. But I just can't. How disruptive is it to class and just as these kids? What do you think the future looks like in 10 years?
We have to ban cell phones somehow once the school day starts. And I know you need them for call for a ride or things like that, but either we have to have them put it in a place in the classroom when they come in because it's all day, it's every day.
Yeah.
And it gets to the point where I'm sick of telling them, put it away. We'll confiscate the phone. Right. Then that means I have to do more.
Yes.
Now I'm responsible for this kid's phone. I forget it because I have wrestling or football practice or track, whatever. And then he doesn't have his phone and mom and dad want to know why I have it. And, so
it's not your job.
No,
it's not your job as a teacher to be that kid's parent. Well, it's not your job.
It's constant. And it's the scariest part is they cannot. Now, this isn't all kids, but they cannot be without that.
Yeah.
For a whole day.
Yeah.
I used to say this the first day. I'd say, you can't have your phone out, blah, blah, blah. How many of you have ever gone camping and you didn't have a phone for 3 days? I think that's the greatest thing in the world. When I don't have my phone for 3 days, No one can get a hold of me.
I just did it on a cruise because I didn't pay for the internet package. So once you got out, it was like my kids didn't have their phone. We did 7 days of it was hard to not just have something because you're so used to when just scrolling or just looking at information. You just want information right now when you can't have it.
But that was also right when we started doing this.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there texting like, "Hey, did you see this? Hey, did you see that?" I'm like, not getting a response. I'm like, "Oh crap, Jason's gone. He is gone.
I'm
not going to hear it from him."
I had a kid. This happened in football and then in wrestling. We were playing at Tempe High. And, at Foothills, we've struggled in sports. We're getting better. My first game back after being an AD, and we beat them handily. It was fun. The kids aren't used to getting a lot of wins. We crushed them on the Frosh level. And there's a kid on the sideline on his cell phone. And I went ballistic. I mean, I don't want to curse on your podcast.
Yeah, don't do that.
But I told him.
Although, hey, you know what? If you do, I think we've got. We can take.
Oh,
it.
no,
You just
I
gotta
won't.
give me the finger.
No, I won't curse, but I'll tell you, I told him to remove his head from his rectum. And I said, "You're crapping me," but I didn't say crapping. I go, "You are absolutely crapping me that you are on your phone." Then this winter, we're in the middle of a dual meet, and we beat Florence, which is our rival. Like I said, we're on an upward trajectory in sports there, and it's great to be a part of. And we don't beat Florence, but we did. And there's a big crowd, which for wrestling is rare.
Yeah.
Energy, and like everything that can go right does. So they were probably a better team, but we beat them.
You won. You were better that day.
Something happened. Yes. Yep. Like in Miracle. Not this night. So we beat them.
9 times out of 10, they beat us.
That's right. But then one of my lower weight guys is on his cell phone, and I went nuts. I mean, I just went nuts. And what I kind of do is I kind of hyper focus. So like when somebody does something bad, I might bring it up for like 3 days.
Yeah.
And like, hey, if you ever do that again, okay, I got you, coach. And so then I had to have a meeting with the whole team. If any of you are on your phone, your buddy is out there fighting his guts out. Get off Instagram. Get off Snap.
Yeah.
Quit texting your buddies. You are part of a team. And I don't know how to solve that, but funny enough, I'm the department head for English. We have PLC time once a week where it's a professional learning communities where we try to come up with ways to make the school better.
Yeah.
And we're kicking stuff around. Like if nobody's on their phone for a day, maybe we end 20 minutes early on Friday, like have a quiz or something, and you get 20 minutes of cell time. Or I know some of our math teachers, they bought this, it looks like something like you would, like 7-Eleven would cook hot dogs in, but they have to put it in there when they come in. But a lot of times they forget it when they leave. The next class comes in, and that's, again, what I'm talking about. Am I responsible for their phone now? And, kids do take others' phones too. Mm-hmm. The AirPods.
Yes.
They come in and this kid stole my AirPods. And I said, well, why'd you have them out? Then they can't steal it.
Yes.
But then we have to, we can locate them, and we do, and then we have security go retrieve them. Or
it's just a stupid thing. Let's steal something that can be very easily tracked.
I know.
Come on,
They're
idiot.
children.
I know.
Yeah, one kid who's on my wrestling team, he told me that his AirPods are pinging at a house that says it's right in your neighborhood. And I said, well, okay. He wanted to know if I would go down to this random house 6 doors down in my neighborhood and ask him if they had his AirPods. I said, no.
Those are not my AirPods.
Get on your bicycle and go do it yourself.
Yeah. So I guess he did, and then they said they didn't have them. Well, it's pinging in your house. I said, well, call the police. But that's just, like I said, it's so much. It's every day. Tomorrow morning, I'll have to tell 3-4 kids, put it away. And I'm not talking about troublemaker kids.
Yeah.
Good kids.
Yeah, it's just they're addicted to it.
They can't break the cycle. If it buzzes in their pocket,
Dopamine dump, and they got to know right now.
Right.
Jason Lobick, do you remember Coach?
Oh, yeah.
He's at Foothills.
Oh, is he?
He's at Santan Foothills. We coach football together, and he's funny, and he comes up with funny stuff. He says to students, and he always says, "Okay, pretend that you're not on your phone. Just humor me, okay, guys." Put it in your pocket and pretend that I don't see it when you're texting out of your pocket, okay? Just do that for me. And then a few of them laugh or they point to another kid. But yeah, it's so constant that by the end of the year, I admit I kind of just give up.
Yeah.
Okay, try to put them away. Now, if we're taking a test or something, no, I can't see it. But if they're working on an assignment, and sometimes, if they're writing an essay, listening to music might help some of them. So I don't know what the solution is, but when I saw a kid on the sideline,
that's out of control.
And then a kid sitting in the chairs, in the dual meet with his cell phone.
Dude,
1 year
I could never be a coach.
No,
we were the states. The States used to be in Prescott, a really cool arena up there.
Oh yeah,
Toyota Center, and we had a kid who was my heavyweight, and he was dead tired the next day, and they said he was up till 3 a.m. He's going to wrestle for a state championship with his girlfriend
on Snapchat or something like that.
Texting, Snapchat, all that. And so then the next year, his senior year, we took all their phones, the kids who made it to state, and bring it in the room, go to bed. Lesson learned.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to confiscate your phones.
And see, and that's what my wife does. So she coaches, her team's a traveling team, so they go all over the country, and that's what they do. When it's lights out, turn your phones in.
Yeah.
All you girls come turn your phones in. You'll get them in the morning.
You need sleep.
Because they need to sleep. And it's one of those things where, it's something that we joke about all the time. Like, you're going to, all right, I'm going to bed. It's 8 o'clock and we get an early night. 1 a.m. rolls around. Oh, crap. Put your phone down.
Still scrolling. Dude.
Exactly. Like, it's a joke. But the reason why it's a joke is because so many people have experienced it and like, oh, yeah, I've done that before. And I have to admit, I'm guilty when it comes to recently, and I say recently, probably within the last 3 or 4 months, I have tried my absolute hardest to where if I'm ever waiting for something, to not immediately reach for my phone. Just this last week, I had to go renew my passport. Go down to Tucson, the Tucson Passport Center, which I want to talk to you about Tucson later. And I'm sitting in line, getting ready to go in, and the line's like 3 people deep, and they're moving. It's going fast. So, but when I say fast, I mean, we're not like bam, bam, bam. It's more like 3 or 4 minute wait per person. So it's pretty good for a government line. You're like, that's pretty awesome, right? Yeah. So anyway, but my thought was, I'll just jump on my phone here. I'm like, wait, no. Let's see if I can just not. Because 20 years ago, that wasn't an option. And I had no problem standing in a line. Shoot, 10 years ago, I generally would not pull my phone out because I was worried about data and I was worried about my battery life. So it's like, those are things so I was like, all right, I'm not gonna use my phone. But that's something that I have to as a grown man, I have to constantly tell myself, don't just pull the phone out and just stare at it when you're not doing something. Like, it's okay to be alone with your thoughts for a moment, to just think about things and consider things out there. Because that's something I've actually listened to a lot of other therapists and things like that have their own little podcasts or shows they do, talk about the importance of just being alone with your thoughts and just being able to sit and think, whether it's in a nice private place or if it's just waiting in line. Like, you don't have to constantly have something taking your attention away like a phone. And it's hard. And it's especially hard.
And it's probably even harder for kids, though. That's all they've known. We know a life without them.
Right.
And we're like, okay, I get it. I can sit. It's hard, but you can sit. Okay, I'm good.
Yeah.
These kids don't know a life without it.
Yeah.
And it's crazy how, where are we going to be?
And then COVID, home for so long.
Yeah. I mean, so Coach, your kids are the same age as mine. Like, one of the things that I have a hard time with is with my son or my daughter, my 3-year-old. She'll constantly be like, hey, Daddy, I want to watch TV. I'm like, no, how about you go play with your toys? No, I don't want to play with my toys. I'm like, holy crap. Is it starting this early to where you have to have a screen in front of you? You can't. I mean, I got a whole room in my house dedicated to toys, and they're not played with. They're not played with.
Hold out, bro. Do not give it up. Do not give up.
Oh, trust me, I won't.
Have at it.
Yeah, but it kills me where I'm like, at what point do we just say, listen, I'm getting rid of all the screens in the house, and it's not because I want to deprive my children, but it's because I feel like they're being deprived of life because of the screen.
Well, again, a lazy parent, you can, if I have big city greens or bubble guppies or something.
Yeah.
3 hours can go by and I can get my grades entered and things like that. And but like today, so at 3:30, my son wanted to go in the backyard with the Nerf football. And I said, I'm not leaving to come see you guys till 4:30. And we went out and we did that because I want him to get used to being outside. And then my daughter wanted to come out. She said, I want to play. Okay. We had taught her how to catch the football a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm going to get into next about what you guys might not even know about this, how kids, they don't watch sports. I don't know.
Because they're
do you
stuck
know that?
in reels. It doesn't surprise me. I don't know that, but it's because they're probably stuck in stories, reels, and TikTok.
This was this year, and I'll tell you 2 different sports examples. So Lobick and I are coaching, and like the basics, like one kid, we're having a scrimmage, and he wasn't very good, so we had him on kick and kick return, and he wouldn't go out. And he said, "You never told me to go out." And I said, "Well, we just scored." Okay, he didn't know.
He had no
that's
idea
when the kick team goes out, and they so we pulled all the kids in, and I said, "Okay, everybody in. How many of you have ever watched a football game?" Half.
That's insane.
But yet you're playing a sport.
Yeah, you're playing that game.
You say you like.
Did you ask how many of them played Madden?
Some of them, that was the saving grace. So at least they kind of knew because of Madden. But so they had never watched a football game. So on Wednesdays, we have half days. And I said to the other coaches, I said, we're not dressing out. We're going in my classroom. I found a really good college game on YouTube. We're going to watch it. We came up with a list of questions they had to answer. We kept stopping it. Okay, what just happened there? Why has the other team got the ball now? Okay, that's called an interception. So we were teaching the
basics.
sport.
The basics.
We weren't teaching skills and game plans and our system. We're teaching the sport of football.
It's like teaching kids how to play Uno.
And same thing. So then my other buddy who coaches baseball. So this was 2 years ago. He said none of his kids, because, you know, the really good players in a small school were moved up to varsity.
Yeah.
So he's got the Frosh team. Instead of JV, sometimes small schools, it's Frosh.
Yeah.
And so they had never seen a baseball game. And so he had them watch a World Series game, Yankees, Red Sox, I think 2004.
Yeah.
And then he
Kurt
said
Schilling.
one kid who we had talked into going out
Bloodstock.
because he was a really good football player for us. And the kid, he said, was taken to it right away. But then they had some kind of a scrimmage with, I think, another local team. And he said to the coach, "Hey, coach, when I was up to bat, you know, the ball, they were throwing it all over the place and I couldn't hit it." And he said, "So you think they're going to throw it just straight at you so you can hit it?" And he said, "Yeah." He didn't know about moving the ball to strike
pitch
zone. He didn't know.
gosh.
He said, "Oh no." And he goes, "Yeah, they don't want you to hit it." And the kid said, "Oh."
That's
then-
news.
Dude, I feel like as a parent, you're failing.
They don't watch football. So one year at Perry, the Republic comes, and we've got 3 kids, and they're
Arizona
getting-
Republic, for you don't know.
Yeah.
that is the big newspaper here in Arizona.
The AZ Republic comes, and they said to these 3
By the way,
kids,
Coach, I'm not sure if you know this. We got people in Canada listening to this show, so you know, gotta give them.
I told you, one of us is getting famous here. I hope it's me.
So Republic comes. Sorry to keep breaking you off
Arizona Republic, biggest daily. And they come to do a feature on 3 of our players. This was quite a while ago, like 2013, 2014, but I'll never forget it. And the reporter said to the first kid, "Who's your favorite football player?" "I don't watch football."
Oh, gosh.
Okay. And second, "Who's your favorite football player?" "I don't really watch the game." Okay. Third kid, Peyton Manning. Like he didn't miss a beat. And his dad was one of our coaches.
So he actually had to watch
my
the game.
son watches football. We went to the Washington State ASU game, and we left at half because, you know, it was getting late.
Yeah.
He's 5. But, like, we watched it. At the Fiesta Bowl, I got free tickets this year, and it was awesome.
That's cool.
And he wanted to cheer for Liberty because there were so many Oregon fans.
And not only that, but
Such
you know
a
what?
terrible matchup.
It was. But you know
can't
what?
even believe it.
But
Good for Liberty.
He was watching. Like, he
Yeah.
understood.
Yeah.
That's 6 points. Now, if they kick this through, it'll be 7. And I was like, yeah, that buddy.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, and it's funny for me. I'm doing the same thing with my son, teaching him the basics of football because he'll watch see a touchdown. I'm like, "Dad, why do they get 6 points for that?" Because he's in the soccer mindset of we scored. That's 1 point. Like that's the way it works. And so I go to tons of baseball games, and I bring him to most every single one I go to. And so he's seen tons of baseball, so he understands what a home run is. He understands what 1 run is. So like the scoring of more than 1 is a foreign concept to him. But it's also one of those things I take it upon myself.
Yeah.
To be like, "Hey son, this is how this game works."
Well, and so a few years ago, Gable Steveson won Olympic gold medal in wrestling. Wrestles for the University of Minnesota. One of the greatest athletes because he's like 6'4", 275, and he can do front handsprings, and he does stands and does a flip, and he won a gold. I got up early to watch it, and so I see some of my wrestlers, and I said, "Hey, you see that Steveson won gold?" They didn't even know what I was talking about, but they love the sport.
Yeah,
I said, so that's weird to me. So St. Patrick's Day weekend, everybody's getting amped up for March Madness, right? Well, that's the same time we call it March Madness.
Oh, yeah.
Because on ESPN for 3 days, the NCAA wrestling tournament's on. I don't leave the house. We're ordering food. My wife knows there's no chores getting done those days, and I'm not getting the kids to bed and brushing teeth. And so I said, again, 1 year, how many of you watched the NCAA wrestling tournament? No, 3 did.
Yeah.
And I said, why wouldn't you have all of your buddies over to one of your houses, order a bunch of pizzas, bring your girlfriends even, teach them the sport, and everybody congregates there. You're not getting in trouble. You're not out, driving around with all these crazy people out on St. Patrick's Day. You're watching the sport you love.
Yeah.
And why wouldn't you do that? Well, the phone, the games, the texting, the Instagram, Snapchat has replaced all of that. And so every year now, however long I keep coaching, when it's the beginning of the season in football, we're watching a game.
Yeah.
But we're going to do it week 1. We're going to watch a game. And then also we made them go to the home varsity games and sit together. And then we watch wrestling matches like Iowa and Iowa State, that duel. It's a civil war, and it's awesome, and there's a sellout crowd. And then we'll take them to an ASU wrestling meet. And so, and then for now, for a wrestler, the UFC and MMA has become huge because I watched all those guys wrestle on ESPN during March Madness.
Yep.
Now I see them fighting.
Because that's the only next the professional level that you can go to in wrestling.
Yeah, that is their league.
Yeah.
And
it's a completely different sport, but it's, similar enough in the sense that it's like, okay, I can use some of the same skills I learned playing wrestling wrestling.
Yeah.
Take the playing out. I am sorry and embarrassed I used that word, but like take the wrestling out that I learned in high school and then, put in some additional things that you certainly could not ever do in a wrestling tournament. And now we kind of got the same sport.
Yeah. I was watching a fight at my neighbor's. He had a bunch of people over, and, it was a headlock, which we teach in 5th grade if you come to a camp or something.
Yeah.
And a guy who didn't wrestle, and I just laughed. He said, "That's a really cool move." And I wanted to. I learned that in 3rd grade. And I lived in Iowa until I was in 6th grade, and we moved to Minnesota. I said, I learned that in 3rd grade. How to throw a headlock.
That's crazy.
So one of the things, though, that you were saying that I totally agree with, and I've heard this on many different sociological podcasts and things that I listen to just to kind of get an idea of what's going on in the world, and that sports viewing has been replaced with sports clips.
Yeah.
So your Instagram, TikTok, YouTube clips, just highlight reels of, so kids might know certain players, but they only know them from the clips that they've seen. They don't actually know what they look like when they've played a full game. They have no idea that LeBron James has bad games. He has them. They have no idea because they've only ever seen the highlights. Or, this is a great example, they only know how great Bol is because of his highlights. It's like, listen, guys, Bol plays maybe 7 minutes a night. I'm not saying I don't like him or that he doesn't have the ability to get there. I certainly do think he's got that, by the way. If you guys are watching him lately.
I was watching him today.
Yeah, he looks pretty good. And last night he was looking really good, or 2 nights ago. So, he's got the ability, but people don't get the idea that he's not an all-star right now. He's barely a bench warmer, and he's barely getting playing time because you only see the clips. You don't actually know what the guy was like in his whole career. Well, you could turn a highlight reel and make everybody seem like they were the greatest player in the world. Like Delonte West was a problem back in the day. Dude, Delonte West was a problem for different reasons. He wasn't a great player. He had some clips. He had some moments. Well, but that's one of the problems I think with youth is, and going back to baseball, one of the reasons why no baseball kid playing baseball ever watched it, and I'll admit this, it's because it was boring.
Because there was no pitch clock before.
Yes. Right. And that's why I firmly believe
game.
Yes, I firmly, and that was one of the things I loved about the slow game, because there was so much behind every single pitch. Every pitch mattered so much. But I know that's not for everybody. That's not everybody's thing. And I think the pitch clock's going to save the game. So people might actually watch it, because it's not a minute and a half between throws. It's 20 seconds, which makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah, that's going back to the need for sports more than ever. So I was telling you, they don't watch sports.
Crazy.
This is
crazy.
This year, I do a thing on the day after Thanksgiving. And so, of course, I don't practice on Thanksgiving Day, but we call it the calorie burn because they laid around and ate like we all do. Ravenous.
Right in the middle of wrestling season.
On Thursday, and that's fine. Do that, but we're coming in Friday. And we were doing the calorie burn, and they were in stations, and they were doing push-ups, and there were like 3 or 4 kids that are on the team that could not do one push-up.
Wow.
And a lot of times when kids are in wrestling and our warm-up, we do a lot of just agility stuff, and one is forward rolls. And they can't do what amounts to a somersault, a lot of them. And I said, see, this is why they should make them do this. Because I don't know about you, but when I was a kid, I'd do somersaults through the grass, and I could do push-ups at a young age.
Yeah.
And it scares me. And then also, I'm at a small school. Numbers in football keep going down, and it's the concussion fear, I believe.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
So Coolidge couldn't field a lower level team.
What? Really?
We had to cancel the game, so we did an inter squad.
Wow.
It was on fall break. So I divided the team into the Mean Machine and the Legends, and we played each other. I said, we have to have a game. These kids aren't getting enough games.
Dude, that's right. Coolidge was like, they were like a small school powerhouse back in the day.
He said they had 13 kids, and then I told the AD, I said, well, you only need 11. He said, well, we're not coming with 13. I said, I would. So then Borgade Catholic.
Oh, yeah, we played them.
They couldn't field a lower level team.
Wow.
So what we did is a team we'd already played was running into the same stuff. And we said, you want to play again? I mean, these kids need games.
Yeah.
Or they don't get better.
Yeah.
They need game situations, know what it's like to fight through a tough game like that. And so, we played another team we'd already played. But 2 teams couldn't field it. And so then their varsity was horrible too because
they got no feeder.
Freshmen are playing varsity. And
well, not only that, but they've got no build up into the program. There is no like, hey, we've got the freshman team that are going to become the JV team.
Yeah.
It's the whole school is the team.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I was fortunate. I never had a concussion in high school football, but the definition was different too.
Yeah.
Now in college, I had 2, and they were real. Like it happened, but of course, I was playing the next week.
Yeah, it's a little bit different world back then.
But when I was teaching sports medicine, I learned. So we used to have 3 levels of concussion. And 3 was you're knocked unconscious, like Manny Pacquiao years ago, like you're out.
Yeah.
1 was the least severe. Now it's just concussion. Mm-hmm. So you go through the protocol. So I believe if I was playing today, because I played on the line, we had contact every play, they would say I had 100 concussions. Mm-hmm. If I saw some stars, if there was a flash, it's a concussion.
Yep.
And some kids, not all, they're astute enough to know. We say it's the C word. So it's 105 and we're going to have a hard practice today. Coach, I think I have a concussion.
Oh.
And I used to say, now I just say, okay, go to the trainer. I don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah.
But I used to say, well, you just proved you don't because you were reasoning.
Yeah.
Got hit hard. I think I have a concussion. You just deduced that you might have this and articulated that to me. That to me proves you don't. You got your bell rung. You can't use that anymore.
No.
Go to the trainer.
What? I can't even believe that. Like, I know that concussions are a real thing.
Yes, they are.
But the idea that like the way that technology has progressed so much, these kids have more padding, more coverage, just all around protection on their body than we did 20 years ago. You did a while ago. Like, it's unbelievable. And yet it's like every chance they get, he's got a concussion. Yeah. Like you said, how many times I had my bell rung?
Yeah.
Like, I played the line, I played linebacker for a while. Like, you're going to have that. Like,
well, and they don't even, I don't know. I think we coach better too. We teach them better technique than we used to. Keeping the head back, shimmying down when you get close, and then also we're not hitting much. So when we're teaching our tackling drills, we do this thing where they sprint. Well, you remember mass tackling?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but we do it kind of at a faster pace, and then they tackle the dummy. So when we're teaching,
we used to be the dummies for that.
We eventually do have them hitting, but not at first.
Yeah.
Because I want to get them used to that. We're hitting dummies. We're not even doing it. And there's some weeks where we might go shells and just initial contact, quick whistle. There's not a lot of hitting in practice.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to ever make it sound like I think concussions are overblown, because that's not the truth.
I
know
they are.
Especially with what we know now, what they can lead to. Like, they are 100% a very serious thing. But, and I throwing this butt out there, it almost sounds like I'm going to, completely disregard everything that I just said, or irregardless of what I just said. But it is something that needs to be considered. It's like, listen, you can get a concussion in a myriad of different ways. They're not all the same, and not everybody has the same reaction to a concussion, right? Not everybody feels the same way after they get their bell rung. I still remember vividly, it was us versus Fountain Hills. I was playing an outside linebacker, and the Fountain Hills fullback came running through, and my job was to hit the fullback so that the middle linebacker could get the running back, or vice versa. Depending on who that fullback's coming to get, my job is to make sure he doesn't get through me, stop him. Me and that fullback, we came both perfect, like head back, shoulders down, squat down butt, and we both hit each other perfectly square, face mask to face mask. He went down, I stood straight up and just stood there. My face mask went from like an 1.5 inch gap to a full 4-inch gap. Like my face mask got completely split wide open. And the referee was sitting right next to me, because right after that, the linebacker blew the whistle. He goes, "Oh my gosh." Like, it just, "Are you okay?" And the fullback was sitting on the ground, and he gets up, kind of like shakes his head. And I just like, "Oh my gosh, what just happened?" Like, I wasn't knocked unconscious. I remember everything that as it happened, but I remember also thinking like, "Oh wow, I just got drilled," and I couldn't believe I stayed on my feet. I guess it just low man wins. Maybe it got lower. I don't know.
Do you think Pop Warner's had anything to do with it, like instituting contact at such a young age in their developmental brains and stuff, right? Like, because these kids start playing tackle football, and I know they have this red stripe rule or pink stripe or whatever they're called, whether if they're too heavy they can't run the ball or whatever. But do you think that has anything to do with it? Like,
it's got to. Because I mean, we talk about like that's one of the things they talk about with the micro concussions. It's like all the thousands of little
death
hits
by 1,000 cuts.
Yeah, like and that's what leads to the larger ones. Because I know once you've had one, you're far more susceptible to have more. And so,
we don't. So I don't think it's a big deal for kids to play flag first.
That's great.
Oh, yeah.
But here in the Florence district, all our K-8 schools, they're in the middle of their football season. They have full football.
Yeah.
And some of them.
What age? Like, what age does that start?
So it's 6, 7, 8.
Okay.
And so like Skyline Ranch, Heights, which would be yours.
Yeah.
Is Santan Heights. And I think they have their playoffs next weekend. And it's fun to go watch. But some of the teams have 13 kids on the sideline, like I was talking about.
Yeah.
Some have 40. And so there's still hope that kids will still fall in love with football and get all the benefits out of it. But and again, I'm with you. I don't want to minimize the head injuries and spinal injuries, but it's a rough game, and there's kids who get concussions in cheer.
Yeah.
In
volleyball,
baseball.
Soccer. Exactly. It happens in every single sport.
I'm not going to put my kids in a bubble, and if my son wants to play football, we're playing football.
Yeah.
And now I might not let him play till junior high.
Yeah.
Because there's flag leagues all over, and he can do that. But the numbers with us having 2 games canceled scare me. Now, we're fortunate we don't have that problem.
Yeah.
I had I probably had 35 kids.
Yeah.
And and when I was at Perry, we had 2 freshman teams.
I was going to say at Perry, you probably had way too many kids.
A and B.
Yes.
So freshman A and freshman B.
I actually had to introduce my son to the concept of cuts yesterday. He's like, "Why would anybody cut?" I'm like, "Well, if they're not good enough, buddy, they don't get a play."
Yeah.
And that was like mind blowing to him. Now, granted, he's 7.
Right.
So, but like for him, the idea of getting cut from a team was like, wait a minute, you mean just because you want to play doesn't mean you get to play? I was like, no.
This is why I know clubs are about money right here. And I'll just go back real quick, is because they hold tryouts for club, right? So we'll have a team of 16. And then midway through the season, now we've got 17 and 18.
Yeah.
You didn't try out. They didn't. What do you mean? What? And then it's all about the money. And it makes me so mad because now we have a team of 19 and you have 11 on the field. So where are the other players? It's just, it's all about money.
And we have a rule. We had a rule at Perry, and we have it here too at Santan that if you want to talk to a coach, we'll talk to you about anything, but it can't be about playing time. It's always about playing time.
It's always what it is.
It's always playing time.
Their kids better than they think.
I had a lady take me to task 3 years ago, and she said that I was only starting skinny kids. Her son was heftier. And I said, no, I'm starting the linemen who are going to block.
Yes.
I don't care if he's skinny or
That's
heavy
generally a detriment if you're playing on the offensive. We talked about this earlier. Me, nose tackle, 140 pounds.
Yeah.
That's not your ideal defensive lineman.
I'm not weighing them in. I see a kid you still have those kids who are aggressive and like to hit.
Yeah.
They don't have as many, but you still have them. Well, that kid's going to play on the line.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, he's my pulling guard. And so, she was so irate with me. I'm only starting the skinny kids. And I tried to tell her we walk through the plays every day, and he still can't tell me where he goes on 33 trap. He can't tell me. And so again, I'm teaching the sport. A kid doesn't go out for PAT or he doesn't go out for a kick return. They don't know. And then this year I was telling a kid, you have the first series. He has the second series. Okay.
What's the series, coach?
No, he ran out in the second play.
Oh, gosh.
And he said, you told me that I was in the second play. And I said, no, I said series. Then I stepped back because, I told you I had to show them a game. And I said, okay, do you know what a series is? No, sir. All right.
Probably should have said that when I said you have the second series.
So, we had to explain what a series is. When we're back on offense, that's the next time. And, one year a kid watched a kickoff go right by him, and then they picked it up and ran it in.
He had no idea it's a live ball.
And we were playing Basha, and he still was a little bit clueless. We had that happen at Higley.
Oh, yeah?
Can I say a kid's name?
Sure.
Absolutely.
Call him out.
His name was Reed.
John?
Yeah.
John Reed.
The younger.
John Reed.
The younger one.
No, that's John.
Yeah.
So James was the older brother.
Yeah.
James and John.
He watched a kick go right by him, and Fountain Hills dived on it at the 2-yard line.
Oh, man. So it's funny. John just lives right over here.
So you have to tell him to listen to this.
I'm going to.
He'll remember.
So we're, he's just right over here in East Santan. He's got about 20 acres he's been farming just for himself. And anyway,
great kid.
Oh, yeah. No, great guy.
And good athlete.
Very good athlete.
The ball went right by. But that, if I'm watching a lot of football, I know, hey, this is a live ball. And we had to say that 100 times, and the kids would still stand there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, guys, remember, what did I say? Oh, it's a live ball. Right. Fall on that thing.
Yeah.
So
no, it is one of those things where you don't feel like at that level you should be teaching such basic fundamental part of the game, like just the rules of the game.
Crazy.
I mean, now I'll say this: when it comes to football, there are a lot of rules, and there's a lot of rules that I feel like change often. And this is the one thing that drives me crazy, and this is true of college basketball and college football. If the goal of these students, these athletes, is to make it to the next level of that sport, knowing the vast majority of them are not. They are not.
Very small percentage.
Yes, a very small percentage are going to make to the professional level. Why are we not playing the same rules in college to prepare them for the next level?
I.e. 2 feet down.
I.e. 2 feet down. Or this is a small one. This is a small one that drives me nuts. College men's basketball, the only sport that still does 2 halves.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What the crap? Like, this isn't soccer, right? Come on. Quarters. Quarters is an American sport. Quarters.
Doesn't make any sense.
So that one drives me nuts. But it's the same thing all the way down to the high school level. It's like, if we are going to be playing this at the same sport, why do we have such different rules all the time? Now, listen, if you're the XFL or the UFLs that's coming out, right? We've talked about this one. Do you know who Larry David is?
Yeah, he's hilarious.
He's hilarious,
yeah,
right?
He's great.
So his whole thing is he wants to watch football with no kickers. No kickers. You can have a punter. That's it. No kickers. And so I was like, okay, if you're the UFL, try it at that level. Why not? Because that's not what everyone's aspiring to. That's your backup plan if you don't make it to the NFL. Okay. Now we're going to a league that's going to be trying some new things and see if it works for football. But this is going to bring it all back. I just can't stand that we have such different rules at different levels. It's like, dude, just play the same rules. It's the same game. So that way it would make it so much easier to teach the kids the game because the rules don't change.
Well, and we can change some of this stuff, making our kids try sports. But also the thing I've noticed, so I told you we had 2 games canceled. We don't get a lot of people in the stands.
Yeah.
Like, again, I'm from a small town, so maybe it's different, but Santan Valley has that feel. And
at least this part of Santan Valley
does. But let me ask you, have you gone to a game down the road?
No, I haven't. Which
have you?
Hey,
no,
coach.
I live a ways away, but I have been to some high school football games at Queen Creek.
Okay. Yeah. So you've gone to your local school and watched them play.
Yep.
So this right here is where I got it down to the bottom. I added a new dot.
Let's do it.
So charter schools in Arizona. Here's my thing. I think they are ruining communities. Here's my reasoning. I also have to admit my kids go to a charter school because it is the closest school to my house.
My kids go to Legacy.
Okay. And that's also probably the closest school to your house. If it's not the closest, it's pretty dang close to the closest.
They have uniforms. We like that.
Yeah. So anyway, for me, the reason why I say that is you asked me if I've ever been to a high school football game for a high school that's 3 miles from my house. Yeah. And my reason for saying no is I don't know any kids that go there. All the kids that I know go to an ALA in Queen Creek, in East Queen Creek. I don't know
Ironwood.
what they call it. Yeah, Ironwood. Yeah. Or they go to the one in Queen Creek, or they go to Queen Creek High School, or they go to Castile High School. And by the way, these are not schools that are close to me. They're not close at all. They're far away. And that's why I think it's ruining communities. Because listen, if all the kids that I know played football, they'd all be at that same high school, 3 miles away from my house. And we'd go on Friday nights to see these kids play because I know them.
Yeah, right? We had a kid, he was an 8th grader, and he said to one of our coaches, "I'm signing with Hamilton."
Yes!
And we started laughing. I said, yes. Signing? Is this like you're getting drafted now? You're telling us your college choice? I'm signing with Hamilton because he was at a camp that we were at, and they said, "Hey, are you going to come to Perry? You live across the street." I'm signing with Hamilton.
Yeah, because he probably got recruited there.
What?
Yeah,
and we don't. I don't recruit kids, and I've had chances to.
Yeah,
and one time I didn't take. I'll tell you who it is off the air. Okay, I didn't take a kid in because his dad's stipulation was he had to coach, and I didn't want him coaching because usually an all-star kid's dad, he only coaches that kid, their son. Yeah. No, we have, a lot of kids and you need to coach them all.
Yeah.
And so I didn't let him, and he went to a rival school and did really well. And
I can't wait to find out who that is.
Oh, and so like Nick Serrano and some of my other coaching buddies used to give me crap. Johnson, you had him. You had him, and you didn't recruit him. And another time I had a kid, and I thought he was. And this is like I say, it's not about winning. I thought he was taking roids.
Yeah,
and we drug test at every school I've been at.
That's crazy. I've never taken a drug test in my life. That's crazy to think you have to do that.
But it's random. So
is it random or is it selectively random?
It is random.
Oh, okay.
But the kid was like your size, and he was a senior.
Yeah.
And I said, "Hey."
By the way, not my size, guys. JJ size.
JJ. And I said to him, "Hey, we know you're juicing." We took him for a walk around the track, and I said, "You know how the drug tests come around?" And they said, "Yeah." I said, "If I give them your name, that they'll pull you." And by the end of the season, he had lost like 20 pounds already.
Oh, wow.
And he said to me later, he goes, "You scared the crap out of me, Coach." I said, "Good."
Yeah.
Good.
A lot of these kids are taking SARMs, I think now is a real big thing of these young kids. At least at the high school level, from what I understand, it's called something called SARMs.
And fortunately for me, when I was playing college football, it wasn't fortunate for him, 2 of my buddies were juicing. And I saw the negative.
Yeah.
And I said, just, being a thinking person, I said, I don't want that to happen to my body.
Yeah.
Now, the reason people take steroids, they work.
Yeah.
They work really well.
Have you heard about the steroid Olympic Games that are coming up? It's called the Enhanced Human Games or whatever. It's basically like, hey,
yes,
if
dude, I'm all about it.
I would love to watch
Let's go.
It's how crazy, yes, how crazy can these people become? Like, how advanced are we going to be? Right? I actually was something I'm very interested to watch.
Yeah,
but it's
I
not
will
something I
tune
ever want to
in.
do myself.
Yeah, I like watching the freak shows. I watched Jake Paul fight. And, I paid to watch it.
Yeah.
But it's, the high school sports are in trouble, and some of the clubs. I could see a time where public high schools are public high schools, and all sports are run through a club. Then some good would come from that. Maybe coaches would get paid a little more, and they would rent the facility at the local school. So you have the same name.
But then the problem with that is, here's where I have a hard. This is why, again, the thing that's driving me nuts about charter schools, I feel like it's ruining communities, just because the school used to be the hub. This is where families would come and meet each other, see each other, get to know each other because, hey, our kids are playing on the same team. Oh, cool. You just live down the road? I didn't know you lived so close. Now we can actually become friends. We can bring a community together. Yeah. But then also, it's because your kids can play. You don't have to pay an entrance fee to your kid to come and play a sport. And if it becomes only where it's just clubs, then that's who can afford to pay the clubs. And I know for me, I know I'm guilty. My wife is a coach for a club, to which I think it's awesome. If my daughter wanted to play for her team, we would find a way. But I told my wife from the beginning, I'm like, listen, this is not something I'm pushing down my kids' throats. Like club sports, I don't want to go down that road because one, it just becomes so expensive, and then it becomes all encompassing in everything that you do. And I'm not trying to make it sound like a bad thing. I got to be careful to make sure that I'm not saying that I think it's the worst thing ever. I don't. Yeah. I just don't ever want to see high school sports go away because it is an opportunity. Like for me, I was an average athlete, and then I went to Higley High School, and I got to play every sport, and I ended an above average athlete. Like, you know what I mean? But I got to play. I got to play all these different sports. I got to do track. I got to do baseball. And I got to play baseball as a kid that never played baseball growing up. Like I didn't play Little League. I didn't go and join a club or like that. Same thing with football. I played football in junior high, and that was all I did in junior high because I wasn't good enough to make it on the baseball team. I wasn't good enough for the basketball team. But then I went to Higley. I got to play soccer. I got to play baseball. I got to play I didn't play basketball, but track and football. And I played all those sports because it was an available option to me that my parents didn't have to come out of pocket to let me play. I mean, there was, we had to do our fundraisers. That's just a part of things where you got to pay for the equipment and crap like that. But I just don't ever want to see it go away from the school. And I do think that one of the problems with the charter schools that we have is it's deteriorating our communities, and it's pushing us down this road to where everything becomes even more privatized, which means if you don't have the money, you don't get to participate. And I just think that's such a bad thing for our country.
No, I agree.
And our youth.
I agree with you. And a kid that's an average athlete in a 3A school, they'll play.
Yeah.
They might not start, but they'll see time, especially by your senior year if you stay with it. So at our school, they'll play. And I don't cut in wrestling. We didn't cut in football. Basketball has to cut.
Because there's only so many guys on the bench.
Soccer has to cut.
Yeah.
But still, they'll play if they're decent. And sometimes, this is a whole nother debate I could get in with people, but charter schools can cut corners in some places where public schools can't. And like with certification for counselors, administrators, I had to take the principal's test and get the degree for administration and supervision. And without that, I can't even apply to be a dean or assistant principal or athletic director. Charters don't have to do that. And, we have to go through procurement processes like with 3 bids for, busing companies or somebody's going to do some work at the school. Well, they might be able to get it cheaper because it's Bob, their neighbor. Yeah. And he'll do it for half the price. We can't just do that. We have to get the 3 bids. And that's just little things, but, it happens. And, like you said, privatizing everything. I know there's basically some charters that are all-star teams. Mm-hmm. It's an all-star team.
Yeah. Well, it's because we have open enrollment in Arizona, school choice. Yeah. This is not me. I don't want to come down as a guy that's getting super political on this and like railing against school choice. I'm not. I just don't like the idea of us not having those community hubs. And that's, I mean, I'm looking at Jason over here. You went to Sholo High School, small town school, is a community hub.
And it's still that way. Like there aren't, not that I know of, there could be charter schools up there right now, but it's very much centered around the high schools. Like you got Blue Ridge and Lakeside, and you have Sholo, and and you got Snowflake, you've got Round Valley. Like that is where you go to school.
Yeah.
Right. Your whole community goes there. Now some are going to Blue Ridge because they want to play for the coach up there now or whatever. But for the most part, people are going right here where whereas down
you're
here,
going to your community.
Yeah, these freshman kids can go anywhere they want.
Yep.
As long as they can get there.
But now if they transfer, they do have to sit out after freshman a half a season. So then they can try to appeal that to the AIA. Usually it's not granted.
Yeah.
So that's curbed some of the transferring. It still happens because I remember when Chandler High, they're going to have 14 games. So the half season rule is regular season.
Yeah.
So they're going to make the state finals.
And they're going to be able to play in the playoffs.
Yeah. So you sit 5, you're still getting 9.
Yeah.
Now at our school, it might be no playoffs and you get 5 games, so that's different. But yeah, we had kids transfer between the Chandler schools and play.
Do you have to, what if you move? What if you physically move? Does that waive that?
It still applies, but that's why they have the appeal process. So there's a rule called the fast tracking too. So I signed off on one and we let a kid be eligible right away. The AIA still had to prove it because he transferred to Central High School. Now, if it was Castile, this is when I was at Poston.
Yeah.
If it was Castile, I wouldn't have signed a fast track, which that just means you put him on a faster track.
Yeah.
They moved to Central Phoenix. We're going to make him drive to Santan Valley every day. So their AD called me and said, will you sign the fast track? Yes.
Yeah.
Because I talked to his dad and he said, look, we got a cheaper house. Well, I bet you did. Central Phoenix or some parts. And he worked down there.
And not only that, but like if a family moves,
right?
A family is moved.
But the rule still applies,
which is stupid. Because I know the reason why that rule applies is because you have very wealthy families who can say, all right, well, we know what we do. We quote unquote moved because we bought a home in the Hamilton district.
Yep.
And so now our son quote unquote lives there. When in reality we live up in northern Scottsdale, and we just have the means to get our kid there. So I mean, I know why that rule exists, but I would say the vast majority of kids that applies to. It applies. It's a misapplication because they're not the super affluent kids that have the parents whose means allow them to do that. They're the kids that like I said, no, we moved from Santan Valley to Central Phoenix, not exactly high rent districts, right? You know what I mean? It's like we moved here because this is where we can live and this is where we got to work. And anyway,
well, and so the recruiting, I know it does happen, but a lot of times it's not the coach. It's like a club that affiliates with that coach or a Pop Warner team that play their games at that school. And they're doing it for them. So the coach, I didn't do that. And I know that in some of my stops, again, I'm not going to be specific. There were guys who were coaching on the lower levels because I coached on the lower levels, and they brought their Pop Warner teams with them.
Oh, gosh.
ALA Queen Creek is doing that right now, and I have friends and family that do it. And it's all their kids' Pop Warner team are now going into 8th grade freshman year, and where are they all going to go to school at? Right there at ALA Queen Creek. And
it's only natural that you want to go where your coach is. So, like, I had a chance some years ago to coach at one of our feeder junior highs, and I turned it down. And then some people told me I shouldn't have because then I know those kids, they're naturally going to want to be in our wrestling room.
Yeah.
But I just don't want to play that game. I used to think I never said it, but I had a coach who was a known recruiter. And so the year that he recruits all these kids, they get like 5th in state. And I thought that's a lot of work to get 5th.
Yeah. To not win, to not end up at the top.
So if you hadn't recruited, you'd have got 8th.
Yeah, where would you have been?
So I don't have the energy to recruit.
Yeah,
I mean, it's morally I'm against it, but also like
the work.
I am not going to spend my time begging a 14-year-old to come wrestle for me.
See, and that goes into what we talked about last time. The thing that drives me nuts about recruiting, it kills. I am of the opinion that it ruins kids' ability to be coached, because if they're constantly being told how great they are to come and play with me, play on my team, their ability to recognize their deficiencies and be coached hard by a guy saying, hey, no, this is what you got to work. They're not going to see it because they've never been told that entire lives.
Yeah, I won't do it. And fortunately, we don't have that problem. And we coach the kids we have, and we hope for the best. And I can tell you, I feel like at our school, it's working.
Yeah.
It's working. And now some of our kids who were expecting to lose, our motto, you should follow them on my Facebook page, Santan Foothills Wrestling.
Hey, everybody, give that a follow, okay?
Santan Foothills High School Wrestling. And our motto this year was Shock AZ. You know how Muhammad Ali used to say, shock the world.
Yeah.
I'd say we're going to shock AZ. And we beat some Division I schools. We brought home trophies at every tournament we went to. And we're not the best team in the area, but we could be.
Yeah.
And we did it the right way. And there's still coaches out there. Coach Beal, he would have never broken the rules.
Oh my gosh. So one of the reasons.
First class or no class?
First class or no class. That was Jim Beal right there.
He would have never.
funny.
And Preston Jones, who's not the coach at Perry anymore, he worked the kids really hard, but he was such a good, by the book, moral guy that some kids didn't want to play for him.
Yeah.
And he worked them hard. And, some people resent even that. Eventually, you've got to do some conditioning like you talked about earlier. We've got to do some.
You've got to run.
And I don't know. I always felt like maybe it was the endorphin rush, but I felt so good going home and showering after 2-a-days and had that natural high, and I got the crap worked out of me, but I still feel great. And same with wrestling practice. You just trudge out of there wet, head to toe.
Yeah. It's the exact reason I didn't wrestle, because I watched those guys come out of practice. On the basketball court, they'd come out. I'm like, nope. They tried every year. They tried to get me to go, come on, heavyweight. Come into heavyweight. No. I see you guys come out. No way.
I would have got you to come out and taught you 2 moves. and with your size and strength, you could still win. Remember I told you I brought up Buddy Lee. He's going to like this. He gets mentioned a lot.
Oh, a lot.
But he wasn't going to wrestle.
That sucker needs to listen, all right? That fool
Tell him he's got to listen. He wasn't going to wrestle. And I said, give me 1 week. Well, then he was in. He was all in. And then Walker and Ricky, were studs. I mean, and Zach Appenzeller and, not Nico. Nico Benuelos was good, but Sal, his brother, was really good.
Sal Benuelos. Okay, I got to tell you this.
Nick Eggert.
I got to tell you quickly about Sal Benuelos. This guy, the smoothest kid you've ever known. Okay. He actually was on So You Think You Can Dance.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, this guy was.
They won some dance contest.
He had a dance group that won some MTV dance.
That's awesome.
Battle thing. I don't remember what it was called.
Yeah, come on. The Electrolytes.
Oh yes, that was his dance group. Yeah, the Electrolytes. Yeah, dude, smoothest kid ever, dude, and the nicest guy.
Black
around.
belt.
Yeah, black belt.
Before
karate,
he started wrestling.
Yeah,
really?
Yeah. This super athletic, but very small. Like, was he 120s?
He was
like
106.
106.
Even as a senior. And then his brother wrestled for me.
I know. That was me in 6th grade. I was shocking.
I can't even. I know. That is crazy.
But yeah, so it's funny how.
So much body strength. Like just you put that guy on a pull-up bar or a dip bar, and he'd go all day long.
Of course,
yeah.
And it's funny. Greg Lindblom had the state. It still stands. He tied the record for fastest pin, 5 seconds. I had a kid pinned a guy in 7 seconds this year, and he was asking me, and I said no. He was, that's not the fastest you've ever had. I said, nope. Kid's name was Greg Lindblom. And Nick Serrano was like, oh, yeah. So I didn't go to school with him, but I knew Greg. I said, yeah, I made the kids because we didn't have camera phones. We had flip phones then. And he pins this kid at the Camp Verde tournament. And I go, everybody look at the clock. I need verification here. Look, 5 seconds. And it's funny how 27 years of coaching, I remember all this stuff like it was.
I gotta say that's actually probably the most impressive thing to me in this conversation is how I didn't think.
You keep pulling names out.
I didn't think anybody but me remembered that stint I played at nose tackle, but this guy pulled that out of the blue. I didn't think anybody but me remembered that.
I talked to Glenn Adams last summer.
Oh, I love Coach Adams.
Tried to get him to come with us, but he moved to Texas.
Oh, is that where he's at now?
So we're living by Dempsey.
Okay.
His son. And we had a strength opening. If you want a strength coach, you want Glenn Adams.
Oh, Glenn Adams, dude.
And him and I joked one time about, I don't even know how it came up, but it was about you. And he said like something about linemen. And he goes, or you could put Pugmire at nose. Because I remember we were like, should we do this? Or I'm like, yeah, let's do it. And we did.
I can't believe you remember that so well.
Yeah. And so the funny thing is I don't ever forget these boys and girls I've coached, and they might think we do, but you don't, because they made an impact on you, just like we talked about, and when I see them, we're always glad to see each other.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes the boys I don't recognize until they tell me who they are, because the girls look the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is they did at 17. But the boys, now they got a beard, or he got huge and he's muscular, or got fat, whatever.
Or no hair. That's me.
Yeah.
Lost my hair.
Well, but you look the same pretty much.
Oh, I'll take it.
Yeah, I would recognize you.
I'll take it.
But I see some kid in the grocery store and you don't remember me. I do, but what's your name?
Yeah.
And then he thinks I'm humoring him, and I go, oh yeah. You pinned that kid from Basha when the home meet when we beat him.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Pull out some fact.
Or or they did something stupid in my class, and I remind him of that too. Oh yeah, remember when you did this? There's one kid, I ran into him, and he was like, "Hey, you don't remember me?" And I said, "Yes, you stepped on the spider in the back of my class, and it had all the babies
just
like
jettisoned." Yeah.
And he's like, "Johnson, you better get back here right away." And so we're back there dancing on all these spiders. And then we need somebody to get down here with some spray. All the kids run out in the hall. And he's like, "You remember that?" I said, "Yeah."
Yeah. Terrified of spiders still.
So,
Oh, man, Coach, I got to say, it's been great having you on here.
oh, this is fun. I'm going to listen and make my wife listen. And then I'm going to send the link to my principal, my AD, and all the teachers and my boosters, and hopefully we up your listeners.
I do have one question for you, because you're a football guy, and I want to get this, because I don't think it's run. So why is the wing T no longer an offense really anywhere?
Some coaches still do, but football at any level is copycat.
Yeah.
So everybody runs RPOs.
I know.
Everybody runs out of the spread.
But do you think it could be successful because it's not run anymore?
I think it could.
Yeah, imagine trying to defend that now.
Well, that's the
There's
thing.
no coach
Paul,
out there that
Paul
remembers
Morrow
it.
did it. He coached out there.
Yeah.
He did it for 20-something years in Blue Ridge.
Won.
That's what we want. We won because our coach was from Blue Ridge, and he's like, "No, we're going to do this." And there was a guy named, his last name was Gracie. He coached at Winslow years ago, and he figured out how to beat the wing T. And then we copied his defense to beat Blue Ridge. That's how we beat him for the first time in 20 years in conference. But it's never played. It's like a crazy. It's hard if you sit in the backfield. There's so much going on.
Yeah.
Guards are pulling, but nobody runs
to
anymore.
a game of ours, because it's not the wing T you're used to, but it's pistol / wing T.
Ooh, okay.
So you might like it.
Yeah.
And our team's going to be better this year. Last year they were 3-7, but lost some close ones. They should, like really close. We're ahead by 20 one time and lost. So they'll be better. We have a really good quarterback who is, he's a running quarterback, and he's fun to watch. And then, it's right down the road. And then I'm not there on Fridays all the time, which is a nice thing. At bigger schools, I had to have a Friday night duty, and I probably would only be coaching wrestling if I had to go there on Fridays, because that's kind of how I sell it to the wife. It's like, hey, Friday we have practice. I'm in the house by 5:30. Mm-hmm. Okay. And so I'll give you guys our schedule, and I'll send it to Eric. And a home game, if I know you're coming, I'll bring my son and bring your son. And we'll meet there, and maybe go get a burger or something afterwards. But I think you'd like it. And so I think it's just because the same thing. Like, here's one I'll throw out there. If I ever was a head football coach, I'm running a 5-2.
So we
Would
I get crucified?
Probably. No,
Yeah.
just walk up the strong safety, make it a 5-3 front, and say, "Okay, I'm going to make you do something against."
And I don't think a 3A quarterback's going to beat me
No.
I don't think so.
For those of you who don't know what that means, a 5-2 means you're going to run 5 defensive linemen up against their 5 offensive linemen, and you're going to run 2 linebackers right behind them. And when JJ says walk up a safety that has a 5-3 front, where it's a safety is generally the person that sits in the very back of the field, it's their safety valve. That's literally the name of it. Was I am the last defender on the field. If somebody breaks past the defensive line or the linebackers, the safety's there to, that's why we talked about earlier when it came to solo tackles, when you're talking about the Hall of Fame. And why solo tackles is such an underrated stat when it comes to a safety. But a 5-2 or a 5-3.
I would love to see that.
Oh, man.
I would do it. I don't really want to be a head football coach. I had a couple opportunities as a younger man. It is like eating a stress sandwich. And I'll admit, I love wrestling, but half the time, nobody even knows. I could probably tell somebody, we're the best team in the state. Oh, great. We're the worst team in the state. Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah.
They don't know, and somebody always will say to me, well, if one kid won a match, Sir Johnson, did you win? Yeah.
One.
Somebody won with our singlet on. Yeah. Or they'll say, did you lose? Yeah. I won and lost.
Yeah.
And so, but football and the things they have to deal with, unreasonable parents.
The parents are right. I want to coach, but I want to be just the guy that deals with the parents. Because I just want to be no, your kid's not playing because of this in practice. He does this. He sandbags. He doesn't show up.
Yeah.
He may tell you one thing, but he's not doing it. And I know it's hard for parents to hear that, but I feel like you need to tell them.
Yeah.
Well, if you work for the school, it's harder to do that.
Yeah.
See, so having somebody like you that doesn't work for the school, and if you say, well, I don't care, take my $3,000.
What are you going to do?
You can be more honest with them. But so what I do is, and everybody thinks it's funny, and I'm kind of serious, but not. I always say at parent meetings, and if any of you have a problem with anything and something you don't like, Coach Lobick is our complaint department, because he'll just say no. And then he won't say anything else. No.
I would just say I have a hurt feelings report you can fill out and send it on its way. Yeah, because I'm here to win. That's the thing about these, especially in football, right? You're here to win. Head coaches are here to win. I know you think your son or your daughter is the greatest thing since sliced bread, but they're not, and I have a job to do.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry they're not playing as much as you want them to, but I need to win, and he or she doesn't allow us the best opportunity.
But there's parents out there who'd rather see their kid play and the team lose.
Oh yeah, 100%.
See, and
that's weird.
I'm clenching my fists over here. But so here's the thing that gets me: if you want your kid to just play, there are a million rec leagues out there.
Yes,
rec leagues for everything in every single municipality in this area. There is a rec league if you just want your kid to play. If you're going to sign them up for something, if you're going at the school or if you're going for a club, right, a competitive club, they are there to win. Winning is the name of the game. That's why I hate quoting this guy because of what he did to Arizona State, but Herm Edwards, hello, we play to win the game. That's the whole purpose of this.
There's that charter league. What is it called? It's not the AIA. They're not in the AIA. It's like Heritage Academy. Imagine Prep. And I think it's called the Cactus Athletic Association. So it's not AIA.
Yeah.
And anybody can play there, but anybody can play there.
Right.
So if that's the thing, that's the equivalent of rec.
Yeah.
Their state wrestling tournament was one afternoon and 12 kids in a 16-man bracket.
That's awesome.
So you won state, apparently.
Good for you. Hey, it works.
And so some schools start out in that, and then they ALA Gilbert was in that.
Yeah.
And won it in football. Right. And then went to AIA, and they're doing great.
Yeah.
But anyway, so.
I can get so riled up about that just because I remember my nephews when they were going through, had to do the off season stuff for whatever sport they were playing, and they would miss out on family activities or family vacations, or we were all, because I'm from a huge family. I've got 10 siblings, right? Official siblings. And then I have a whole bunch of what we call unofficial siblings that are still part of the family.
Yeah.
And these kids wouldn't be at those activities because they had to go and do this off-season thing either in the summertime or in the spring or in the fall, whatever it is, but it was off-season. I have to go or else I can't play. I'm like, listen, if you are good enough, you will play because the coach wants to win.
Yeah.
But the whole idea, again, going back to specialization, scholarship hunting, all that crap, it's like, no, we have to. I have to go and do this. It kills me because I'm like, dude, you're missing out on so much more of your life. And this portion of your life is never coming back.
Right.
We talked about in the beginning, like, listen, once you're done with high school, the chances of you competing in other sports, it's not.
Yeah.
Like, the very few of them, you actually go on and compete in anything. But, I mean, we've been going almost for 2 hours here, so I don't want to keep beating this dead horse. But, Coach, I really am so happy you came by.
Yeah,
thank you very much. This was a trip down memory lane for me in so many ways. It's been
But I
great.
hope it was interesting for those who don't know us or don't know me, the stuff we talked about. And I hope, the thing with parents, man, make your kids do something. It can be being in the play. Make them be, run cross country, do something.
Play a musical instrument.
Anything,
Join the mathletes, baby.
national
Mean
honors
girls.
or student government. Let's make them do something. The bad guys are starting to outnumber the good guys. The vaping is a huge problem with our youth, which that's a whole nother topic.
Yeah.
But it's bad.
Yeah.
And kids don't even think it's a big deal.
And we don't even know what happens to your body with that. We don't have no studies, no nothing. Like cigarettes, we know, right? People still smoke, but you know what's coming. You have no idea what's happening with vaping.
Yeah.
Well,
that's the thing that
And
kills
these kids are doing it like crazy.
Oh,
well,
my gosh.
the kids don't even smoke weed. Do you know that?
They use the THC,
The
vape.
wax.
Yep.
Yeah, they vape wax.
Yeah.
Infused with THC. And it's like 10 times more potent. So at one school I was at, a kid took a hit, and he was a good kid, off of a vape, and then collapsed onto his desk, unconscious, had to call the ambulance.
Oh, my gosh.
And he wasn't a kid that you would think would do that, but he's still a kid.
Yeah, he's still a kid.
He's
Kids
going to
still
do
do stupid things.
dumb things. But, sports can save people from some of that. Make them belong to something. Make them feel good about something that they're a part of. Their peers are better people. They have a new set of eyes with coaches watching them. And, if that's the final word, that's what I would like to say. Make your kid. Well, I can't make him. Yes, you can.
Yeah, that's what you're a parent. That's your job.
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
What activity are you going to do?
Fist clenched over there. Alone because I wrote a note down about did you see the note about negotiations with a 5-year-old?
Yes, I saw that.
I watched a lady literally in Target, and we were in Desert Ridge, so it's a little bit more bougie, right? But she is having a full-on debate with a 5-year-old because he's saying no and was not going to do what she said. And instead of just whooping that kid's butt and putting him in his place, she's having a conversation like he's an adult. I'm like, at what point do you not get? He's not listening. Sorry.
We're teasing that for the next one.
Yeah. We'll talk more about that.
Yes, we will talk about that.
But you see that at a different level, and I just can't even imagine. So thank you for being a teacher. I know you guys put up with more than anything, and a lot of parents are jerks to you guys. I mean, I've been guilty of almost taking a kid's side first, but then I'm like, no, let's put the teacher in the room. And then you see the kid change
Then
their
all
tune.
this comes out.
Everything's like, oh no, this, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm glad we did that, right? But so thank you for what you do, and all the teachers out there that listen are going to listen. Like you guys are really just trying to shape the youth, and the youth is terrible right now, and you guys are doing the best you can. And I couldn't do it, and I do a crazy job. I could not do what you do just because I would have a problem not just
losing it.
Yeah. I would
It
just.
can
I
be
don't have
hard.
I don't have the temperament to listen to some kid tell me something.
Yeah.
I've been putting kids out all the time later.
Final word. The first day of school, and my first day back in the classroom, I got told to F off.
Oh, no.
And the principal wanted to give me a plaque. First teacher to get told to F off, Darren Johnson. I'm like, I just left admin, and I'm all happy. I'm going to coach again. I got everything back that I had left. First day. And I said,
See, I think
Did I make a mistake?
I think that once they take the lid off, you should be able to just you want to talk like an adult. Now we're going to be an adult. Watch how fast that changes, but it can't.
I don't know if it's too many years that it's not the first time a kid's told me that. And it's like, okay, well, go to the office.
Yeah. I don't know. It's one of those things where I know
I could never
I can look
imagine
back in my
telling
life.
teachers
I can look back on my life.
Kill me.
And say,
Oh my gosh.
No.
She's not even here no more. And it's still like, I'm like, my mom would whoop my, dude, I'd be terrified.
that would be one of those things where I am a firm believer in Well, no. We'll talk about that later. I could go down that road and we'll keep on going. But yeah, I just want to say again, thanks, Coach, for coming.
Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
guys.
Thank you.
Echo what JJ said about thank you for being a teacher, because I am a person you're looking at right now who you had a direct effect on, who years later will still tell stories about his English teacher and his football coach. And, I still talk to many people that you also affected their lives, and we all want to say thank you. And I don't want to get emotional here because I might.
That's awesome.
But seriously, love you, and I'm so grateful that you were my coach and my teacher.
Thank you. This is awesome. We got to watch a game together this fall.
Sounds good.
Because I know how life goes. I got 2 little ones, but we'll make it happen.
Absolutely.
And I want to listen to this.
You got to.
When does it drop?
All right. So we're going to probably load this thing up tonight, and it'll be live tomorrow morning. And so everybody knows, go ahead and share, subscribe. Yes. On Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Again, I don't touch the TikTok. That's not me.
We need a TikTok while we're in here. I'm learning this stuff. Like we need to do videos.
Picture of
we'll definitely get
a picture. We'll post it up so everybody can see who you are. We'll make sure it's all good to go.
Yeah, you'll get tagged on Facebook for this too, so be aware of that.
Because 8 o'clock's bedtime, so I don't think I'm going to see Ricky tonight.
No, I don't think so. He was supposed to come at 5. He might have just forgotten. But anyway, so yeah. So what else are we supposed to say? We're supposed to say do all that, share it with a friend, and you know what? Screw it. I'm not going to. It's a long time. Yeah. You know what?
Like fat kids in dodgeball, we're out.
Stay fresh, cheese bags. Do you have children? Do they beat the crap out of your house? How often do you enter a room and notice the wear and tear that is inevitably part of owning a home? Then reach out to Spray Boys Painting, a locally owned company that specializes in interiors, exteriors, and cabinetry. Call or text Dallin at 480-688-1446 to schedule for an estimate, or you can find them on Facebook, Instagram, and Google. Just search Spray Boys Painting. The JJ and Pug Show theme song was written, composed, and performed by Lane Hartman. Special thanks to Highland Communities for all the support given to our show. You can find the JJ and Pug Show podcast wherever you do listen to podcasts. Look us up on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Remember to share the show with your friends and family and subscribe wherever you do listen. If you're able to, please feel free to support us by sending a donation to us by going to ko-fi.com/the JJ and Pug Show. That is ko-fi.com/the JJ and Pug Show. Again, thank you so much, everybody, for all the support, whether that is by simply listening, whether that is sharing it with a friend, or giving us that sweet, sweet cash. We truly appreciate it all. Thank you so much.